Break the mold for safety. Break the mold for time savings. Break the mold for inspectability. Break the mold with the Burndy Hyground compression grounding system, and you too can be a Burndy Hyground mold breaker.
The Burndy Hyground compression grounding system provides some real valuable, intangible benefits that are difficult to evaluate monetarily. Installation ease, no cleanup, no fire hazards, and no weather concerns.
Today's Burndy Hyground mold breaker is an electrical contractor or engineer with a strong commitment to keeping pace with the constant shifts within the industry to keep themselves and their companies more competitive and attractive to customers. Using our unique system of cross-grid, tap, splice, cable-to-ground rod, ground plate, and termination connections, this becomes the safest, most cost-effective, and time-efficient grounding method available today. Burndy Hyground products' irreversible compression ground connectors employ well-proven design principles and technology that have been in existence for more than 40 years. Connections that are decades old have been dug up to show their long life and corrosion resistance properties. The Burndy Hyground products' compression grounding system offers many other notable features and benefits that speak to Hyground's safety, performance, cost savings, time savings, and inspectability. A range-taking tool and die design ensures reliability and consistency of the connection and minimized inventory. All connectors are made of pure wrought copper, the same material as the conductor, to eliminate the possibility of corrosion due to dissimilar metals. All Burndy Hyground compression elements are pre-filled with our exclusive Penetrox compound to inhibit moisture and contaminants from entering the contact area. The Burndy Hyground system requires no special training or complicated tooling for greater ease of use. A Hyground connection can be made in less than 3 minutes for quick installation and lower labor costs. Hyground compression connections can be installed in even the most wet or severe weather conditions, eliminating costly construction delays. The installation process does not produce heat, smoke, toxic fumes, or other hazardous particles, removing the need for costly protective equipment and making inside installations safe to perform. Each connector is clearly marked with catalog number, conductor size, and die information for easy identification and even easier inspection. The Burndy Hyground connectors meet or exceed all applicable electrical codes and standards established by the National Fire Protection Association, IEEE Standard 838, Underwriters Laboratories Standards UL 467 and UL 96, and the federal government. All Burndy Hyground connectors are subject to a battery of tests, including those that measure strength, electromagnetic force withstand, hot and cold temperature, corrosion, fault current, and general resistance.
After only one ground grid installation, our crews were completely sold on the Burndy compression grounding system. Since then, we have specified this product for all future projects.
Burndy Hyground is the safest, most cost-effective, time-efficient, and easily inspected grounding system available today. A connection can be made in just a few easy steps, taking only 3 minutes, or about 1/4 of the time of a similar exothermic connection. First, select the conductor and clean it with a wire brush as needed. Next, select and install the proper die in your crimping tool. If you're connecting to a ground rod, it's advisable to pre-crimp the ground rod with a pre-crimp die to increase the mechanical strength of your connection. Center the connector in the die to ensure full embossment. Place the crimping tool and the connector on the cable, and then place it on the cross cable or the rod that's to be connected. Lastly, cycle the crimping tool until the audible pressure release is heard, and release the tool. The completed connection is ready for inspection for proper connector, conductor, die, and tool. More on inspectability in a little while.
As a distributor of industrial chemicals, safety is the greatest concern, and that's why we use Hyground.
We installed Burndy Hyground in a hazardous area where exothermic products can't be used.
Making a compression connection with Burndy Hyground products is a very safe process. A Hyground connection produces no potentially hazardous heat or byproducts and will not ignite flammable materials that may be nearby. A connection can be made anywhere, even indoors, and even in wet conditions. An exothermic connection has the potential to produce smoke, fire, or other hot particles that restrict its area of use and cannot safely be made in areas with other flammable materials. Water, dirt, oil, and/or oxidation can severely compromise the fusion process, creating a hazardous, incomplete, or porous weld.
The time savings in installing Burndy Hyground was a big factor in our changing from exothermic, as well as the safety concerns. Burndy's reusable tools and dies has also proved more economical than the ongoing expense of the molds.
Fewer installation materials, easier setup, no space restriction, no safety concerns, no weather concerns, range-taking connectors. All these factors add up to Burndy Hyground installation time that is 4 times quicker than a comparable exothermic installation. This means better work efficiency and greater cost savings. This Hyground versus exothermic time trial, sped up for our own time purposes, demonstrates the ease of installation advantages inherent with the Burndy Hyground compression grounding system. There's 1, 2, 3, none yet for exothermic. 4 connections using the Burndy Hyground compression grounding system in far less time than it takes to make a single exothermic installation.
Well, the reasons to consider compression grounding versus the exothermic process is the technology of the crimping devices and the inspectability of the connection.
Reliable and fast inspectability of completed grounding connections is a great need within the electrical industry. This is another solid example of why the Burndy Hyground Products compression grounding system is the clear choice of mold breakers everywhere. When a Burndy Hyground tool and die combination makes a compression connection, it also embosses an identification code into the installed connector. This mark allows you and the electrical inspector to visually and quickly confirm that the proper connector, tool, and installation die were used, and that the connector has been correctly placed. This method of inspection is far more reliable and less subjective than checking an exothermic connection with the tap of a hammer.
I've always been pleased with Hyground. Number one is the safety factor, and you don't have a large expensive inventory of molds and shots to keep up with.
When comparing Burndy Hyground products to exothermic grounding systems, the equipment required for making a grounding grid differs substantially. Not only does the exothermic process require a larger number of costly items, all of which must be taken from job site to job site, but many of the materials must be stored cautiously before and during installation. Many of the exothermic items listed here must also be ordered on a continual basis to keep sufficient inventories for scheduled jobs. Would you rather be able to carry practically all your grounding material in a single case, or have to drive around the contents of this truck?
We chose Hyground because we needed a product that would allow for rapid grounding of exterior and buried applications. Hyground makes it possible to install quickly in any weather and know that we have a reliable connection.
The Burndy Hyground Products compression grounding system can be utilized in any industrial or commercial application for lighting protection, static charge protection, signal reference ground, or power ground. Utility companies, telecommunications firms, transportation agencies, petrochemical companies, and other organizations in both the U.S. and abroad have used Burndy Hyground with consistently impressive results.
My clients like it, the contractors really like it, and therefore I like it.
So whether you're a specifying engineer, contractor, or lighting or safety consultant, Burndy Hyground is the grounding solution that meets all of the requirements for safety, durability, ease of use, time savings, cost savings, and inspectability. There's a big difference between being a mold breaker and just being out there breaking molds. We invite you to experience that difference and come break the mold today with Burndy Hyground products. For a complete specifying kit or other information on Burndy Hyground products, please contact the FCI Burndy Products Technical Service Department at 1-800-346-4175 or visit www.fciconnect.com.